Okay. Monday edition of the After Show. Got Wink of Justice with you. Wink over here on the East Coast.
And Justice over here on the West Coast of the contiguous United States of America. Hey, there's lots more of America where we come from.
Heck yeah.
And it's Metaphor Mondays.
Yeah.
We really try not to get into the simile of the matter.
Right.
No. We want to call things what they are, but in a highly artistic and syntactical way.
Indeed.
Unlike a certain personage with very fluffy hair sitting at the supposed top of things.
Yeah.
Before we get into what's happened over the weekend, I need to know how you were doing, Wink.
Not bad. It is 66, so it's a little bit on the nippy side out there. It's also raining. It's a downpour rain we got going out there, so it's a little different than it's been the last week or so. But we needed the rain. It hasn't rained in quite a while, actually, so we'll take the rain. Mind to get in the chat, just go to netrootsradio.com, scroll down the bottom of the page, and on the right-hand side of the bottom of the page, there is a link to the chat. So click that, join us there.
Of course, if you wanted to click the donate, contribute buttons, and you're trying to figure out where they were, they're just to the leftish of the chat room link. So we encourage you to go to chat. Yep. That is actually, all kidding aside, a good way to get a hold of us and engage. But I'm sure from all the mail and email you get, the resistance doesn't come free.
Right.
Obviously.
Right.
And if we wanted to do this as some sort of, conspiratorial scam, we'd be doing it the right wing, and we'd have all the money in the world, probably from the Mercers.
Yes.
Because I got to tell you, that Soros check's been in the mail for, what is it, 4 decades now, Wink?
Yeah, it's been
almost
a while.
4?
It's been a while, for sure, yeah.
Man, they're going to find that probably at the bottom of the bin, all crumpled up, footprints on it. Muddy footprints on it, and they'll give it to us, and we'll be able to negotiate it after all that time.
Yeah.
So, short of that, we really do rely on you to help us pay these bills, and you do, and thank you for that. So, okay. After show podcast can be had by way of the raw data file. Shortly after the end of the show, Wink puts that up on Spreaker. Yep. And then later on, the perfected daily file, otherwise known as the PDF, will become available by way of Podbean, iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, etc., etc., etc. Or as we like to say, where all fine, respected podcasts can be found.
Exactly.
Which isn't to say that the ones that are in the one with the little heart on it,
right?
Those can be respected. It's just that the one with a little heart isn't well respected in our cosmology.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, here along the banks of the Rogue River and the Rogue River Valley of Southern Oregon, it is currently 65 degrees. We're going to be a tad warmer today than yesterday. We'll be at 97. Though, if you talk to my mom, she would have said it was 100 yesterday, which means it's going to be 103 today. Yep. So we'll see. I have to explain to her that, rocks radiate heat, and where this particular garden thermometer is, it isn't very accurate because it's not truly in shade, right? If you put something in shade and then have it off a reflective surface that radiates heat right up to it, you're not getting an accurate reading. In fact, you might get an increased reading because that's how you cook. You know that. You can cook with solar by making a parabolic structure, line it, like a little bowl. In fact, get a big bowl, line it with tin foil, and you can figure out where the focal point is and, boil water.
There you go. Yep.
So that's a little bit hotter than 97 degrees, let me tell you.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I think we're going to be around 100. Just because, that's the microclimate we're in. Let's see. No chance of rain, though. Yesterday we had, it looked like it got kind of humid, a little bit uncomfortable. But it seemed like it wanted a thunderstorm, and it never did. Because, with thunderstorms, maybe you might have rain.
Right.
But it never did. Darn. Let's see. I have to learn how to read this because now that we have the new, what I call the drive-in sized monitor.
Yeah, exactly.
I can really see things, but I have to look differently because it shows everything. And the other one is everything's compacted and you have to scroll to get to stuff. So, well, apparently we don't have any winds. Okay, usually they give me a forecast for winds, but I don't have that right now. Okay, so we will be getting warm, and I'm sure what's going to happen is that we'll have our usual winds, out of the northwest at 5 to 10 miles an hour, and then later on in the afternoon and evening we'll be coming out of the west-northwest at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Gusts maybe up to 15 to 20 miles per hour, as is the norm. Okay, weather from around the world is brought to you by weather stations from around the world that people actually own. They bought them themselves, and they live around the world. So we get weather from around the world that way. All right. London is 66 and mostly cloudy. Paris is 68 and mostly cloudy. Rome is 83 and partly cloudy with right now they're under a high wind advisory, and then in about 4 to 5 hours they will be in a high thunderstorm advisory. Both expected to knock out infrastructure is what they said. Now I hope they don't mean the aqueducts. I hope they just mean like electrical infrastructure. If they mean like the aqueducts, that's pretty serious, I would say.
Yeah.
All right. You don't want that infrastructure getting knocked out. That would be bad, especially after all this time. Okay, Kiev is 81 and clear. Kabul is 94 and clear. Wow. Perfect drone weather.
Yeah.
Hong Kong is 80 and clear. Tokyo is 85, mostly cloudy. Sydney, Australia is 54 and clear. They are in winter, of course. And San Francisco is 57 and overcast. And New York is 67 degrees Fahrenheit. And as we mentioned, rain. Yeah. They got rain in the city. It's must be a whole regional thing or something.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, yeah.
Well, hurricane weather's due, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yep. I mean, they come earlier. Usually you expect it, late summer.
Right.
When you get the confluence of warm and cold and more extreme measure. Maybe it's just building up. Okay. Well, that is weather brought to you, weather from around the world brought to you by people from around the world who have weather stations. We love them. Well, Wink, we survived another weekend.
Yeah.
As far as we know. And because what really is existence? As I'm living in my small town, I'm actually starting to doubt whether we really have a mind. Maybe all of this is just some sort of massive computer and we're in the Matrix. Yeah, God, I can't wait for another 15 years and people start freaking out and obsess about another movie. And that's the reason that we are experiencing all that we experience. Jesus, I remember when the blob had everybody going around, we got to build nuclear weapons because there's blobs going to come and kill us.
Yeah.
Then it was E.T. Remember E.T.?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, geez. Talk about like alien abductions just spiked during that one. Oh, God. I don't know. Give me Briar Rabbit, okay? Let's have a mob fantasy about Briar Rabbit. At least it's a little bit more benign, until you bring in the big bad wolf, and then you have another whole set of plot lines that probably you don't want to experience, because I wouldn't. So, yeah, apparently Jared and Manafort are not going to be testifying under oath because, Grassley's running the thing and,
Yeah, I can see this thing falling apart as far as,
people
showing up at these hearings.
See, there's two ways of looking at it. You can't misrepresent or lie to Congress.
Right. So therefore, you don't show up.
Well, we've seen this before. No, they'll show up. But we have seen this before, and what is that? When members of the Bushco crime family had to testify before Congress in a similar fashion when run by Republicans, and we had these show trials, and they didn't have to testify under oath, and they lied, and nothing happened. Right. Is Cheney in jail? Did Cheney get sanctioned? Come on. John Yoo? Right. So, I mean, and I got to say, who was there? Grassley. And now the big question is immunity. As I asked Chuck, are you going to grant him immunity? And will will Vlad be CC'd on the order?
Indeed.
Just wondering. But then there's another maybe pragmatic aspect to this. Because you know what immunity is. Give him immunity, then it quashes Mueller's investigation. Right? Did that happen with Ollie North?
Oh, yeah.
That's where that precedent is.
Yeah.
Okay, so really prosecutors learned their lesson.
Yeah, Ollie didn't know anything, pretty much.
Pardon me?
Ollie didn't know much of anything.
Ollie?
What he did know, he was direct orders, so he's just following orders.
Well, no, what I'm talking... No, you don't understand. There was no criminal indictment against Oliver North or any of those other people in that shop because they were granted immunity.
There you go.
By Congress. Yep. So then when it came to a criminal investigation, you can't try a person twice. It's unconstitutional.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Get it? It's not because Oliver North didn't know anything. He knew enough.
Oh, he knew everything.
He wasn't just some foot soldier. He was out there being an active participant, trained to be able to make decisions on the fly, as all military guys are taught to do in the field, but he's pushing an agenda. All right? So let's not give Oliver North a pass on this.
Oh, no, not at all.
He's a criminal, and he should have been in jail a lot longer than, I'm just saying.
Well, he ended up with a radio show, so yeah.
So we already have this experience. So the granting of immunity means that then Mueller isn't able to pursue a criminal investigation under certain things that have been granted by immunity. That's the big question. But also, testifying under oath, they might be able to talk their way in, as they've been doing repeatedly, talk their way into a corner. And regardless of whether they've been granted, testifying under oath, that can still be used against them because you cannot mislead or lie to Congress in any fashion. The difference is that if you're under oath, it's perjury and you can go to jail for it. The other part is, this is just the good old boy system and wink, wink, nod, nod, and pass the Russian beluga caviar, please.
Yeah.
Okay. That's me ranting. What time is it? Oh, geez, I better get on this because, another day just goes by because there's so much more. All right. And let's mention Jimmy Carter just briefly here, okay? Guy goes to the hospital and comes back out of the hospital, for dehydration. Why? Because he's up in Canada building houses for Habitat for Humanity.
Yeah.
His little thing. Right? So then he gets out of the hospital for dehydration. He's back out there swinging a hammer. Come on.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's that. Oh, and we have like a new communication shop. Wink. Spicer's out.
Yeah.
Scaramucci is in. And I got to tell you, the tweets are totally like of a more higher caliber. The president of the United States, I don't know. Some people think it might have been John Barron. That's what they're joking about, but we know really what it is. I mean, he was able to spell beleaguered. Now, as I noticed, as shady as Scaramucci is, he's always been known as a good speller. So already the president of the United States tweets have now come to reach a higher caliber of tweet because there's no way Trump could spell beleaguered.
Right.
And I think his fat little fingers aren't able to, copy and paste and then clip it and then put it on, then paste. I don't think he can do it. Okay. These are the issues we will be attending to today. And they're quite substantial, let me say. With Russia in sessions, now just follow me here. There's a little play on words like, as we are wont to do. With Russia in sessions, reefer madness trumps reason as Putin's Department of Justice cracks down on pot. Apparently, unbeknownst to you and me, Wink, and all of science and every bit of evidence for, I don't know, since well before the 70s. Let's go right to the beatniks. Let's go to the 50s. For some reason, pot makes you extremely violent and you want to go out and kill people.
Yeah. That's it.
And I'm thinking, wait a second. Those are the pharmaceuticals you're talking about. You know, the chemical ones, like, meth and opioids. Mix those together and look what happens. Well, I don't know. If you were working for a foreign government, you're going to chip away at every bit of, reason, for having an institution. Well, you do this. Environmental Protection Agency Chief Scott Pruitt spent almost half of spring in his home state of Oklahoma. Okay. I don't know. I never think of Oklahoma as being a destination. I mean, people love it. Tulsa, they think, is, fabulous. Kind of flat by my standards. But he likes it there. And the Department of Justice reduces Harley Davidson's Obama-issued fine for selling tuners that increased air pollution. That's what bros on flatheads do. I mean, come on. You can't push out that smoke. You're not a man. Also, something? I never understood the big chain hooked to a belt loop on a wallet.
Right.
With a fat butt, like tiddly-winking that thing out, just pressing it out so it would fall off and hit the spokes and then pull you right off the back of the bike. I never understood that. Hey, for the last half, we report that Republicans in Idaho, that foreign country, gee, it ought to be, huh?
Yeah, should be.
Except for Joan McCarter lives there. Yep. She lives in an oasis of reason, I bet. Okay.
Got that blue oasis thing going on, yeah.
She's kind of like a hot spot. It doesn't matter where she's at. There's an oasis of reason that just surrounds her.
Yep.
God. Well, that state wants to send an anti-vax radical religious right prepper to Congress. Because, they don't have enough anti-vax radical religious right preppers already. There is a Moscow, Idaho. I just got to let you know, just so you know. There's been a little bit of Russian influence in this part of the country for a long time. Yeah, it was a race between Lewis and Clark and the Russians. Come on. Everybody knows that. Oh, and the American Legislative Exchange Council, Alec.
Oh, yeah.
Has a scary plan for electing senators. You'll never guess what it is, Wink. You don't get to.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
All that, plus the Connect, Unite, Act, Daily Coast community calendar, and more on the after show with that ever so fine fellow over there on the East Coast and upstate New York 21, because we make reference to these little tidbits like his district because it's a reference to every district is in play.
Yep.
All right. Jeez, when was the last time we heard that the DCC is going to fund a blue dog in a district that Hillary won over Trump by I don't know how many?
Right.
Come on, let's get a progressive in there. And he's in upstate New York 21, and his name is Wink, and this guy all the way back over here on the West Coast, and my name is Justice, and we do this 5 days a week for an hour-ish in this particular specific and ever-increasing peculiar tear in the fabric of space-time, because who loves you, baby? Okay. Oh, and as Columbo would say, one more thing. Tour's over. French, the Tour de France, Tour de France, Tour de France.
Yeah.
It's I actually give a passing sort of acknowledgement to the competition of it. I mean, it's quite stunning. Whether they're on oxygenated compounds or not, it's tough. But I like it as a travel log. Because I got to tell you, I love France. France is a great country. It's like California. Very much so. See, we're Americans, Wink. We always have to. You go to the Alps and you go, yeah, but we got the Rockies. And then you go to the Alps and you go, Jesus. They were able to bring elephants over here? They thought they could bring elephants through here? What the heck?
Exactly.
Jeez. But, so that's happening. United States advances in the Cup. The Gold Cup. Say that 5 times in a row. And we're advancing in that. We're doing real well. Yeah. Quite exciting game against, I believe it was Costa Rica? Yes. Now, there were the El Salvador game. Man, there was biting and all sorts of stuff, Wink. Gee. Yeah, it's almost like they had a soccer match and, a Mike Tyson boxing match broke out.
Indeed.
Whew. Oh, I should get into these stories because, I don't know, when you look at pictures of Jeff Sessions, we always talk about that the things that the right wing goes after with such fervor is because they are doing it and they have some sort of, I don't know, feeling of guilt. Their repression is so profound that because they've succumbed to this thing that they've tried to repress themselves from and they can't, that it must be a scourge on society, and all society is suffering this terrible calamity that these group of people, I don't know, feel you got to repress, right? And you look at Sessions, I got to tell you, those eyes have been red. He's got that goofy smile. I think, does he call his wife mom too, mother? I think he does. I think mother's slipping him, a few brownies, with him in tulips or whatever it is that. What is he? Arkansas? What do they drink there? Some sort of bourbon-based thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I would.
Oh, yeah.
You're in the region, drink bourbon. Come on. Can't go wrong. You hope. So, this whole idea about going after pot, like it's supposed to be an increase in violence. Apparently there's an American carnage going on.
Right.
That none of us know about. Right, but they do, and yet they see nothing about I don't know. Maybe we are the crazy ones, Wink. Maybe these intelligence agencies and governments from around the world who are talking and dealing with the fact that the Russians are manipulating and putting in active measures to disrupt their governments and elections, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's all in our heads.
Could be.
And maybe, we have killing in the streets and I don't know, it's bad. So and obviously pot's to blame because apparently pot, instead of, what, I don't know, should I admit it? Sure. Why not? From personal experience, I don't think I really want to, get up and start, having a war. Maybe that's why they don't want us to have it. But we know for a fact, actually, you can still fight a war and be on pot. They had some of the best real tie stick. Not the fake stuff, the stuff they just tied on a stick.
Right.
Remember that? Remember that marketing device back in the day? Yeah, it's tie stick. Yeah, right. But no, they had the real stuff from the region. And I don't know. Maybe Sessions looks at that and says, well, that's the reason we lost, rather than the fact that 2,500 years of conflict, I don't know, maybe things ebb and flow. Idiot. But there's the other question, Wink. If Jeff Sessions is on pot and this is what it does, maybe we should put some restrictions on it.
Right.
On who can have it.
Yeah.
Right. This is Tom Porter out of Newsweek. A new Department of Justice report on violent crime, and they use the M word.
Right.
Now, the Netroots Radio Style Manual stipulates we don't use the M word because of its racist connotations and long-term, origination of it. So we use pot or cannabis, something like that. Weed, grass. Remember when they said grass?
Yeah,
weed.
that was like...
Weed was another one that cracked me up.
Yeah,
weed.
yeah.
Why not blossoms?
Yeah.
You got some blossoms? Weed. Yeah. Okay, the Trump administration's task force on crime reduction and public safety, Yeah, I like that one. You mean Law and Order? And you're going to dress up people in jack boots? You mean that kind of crime reduction and public safety? Yes. Led by Sessions, is going to release next week a report that critics fear will link pot use to violent crime and advocate tougher sentences for those producing, selling, and using the drug. It's not a drug. It's an herb. But, you know. Democrat Senator Brian Schatz, linking to a report on the crackdown, described the plan as backwards and inhumane. Well, I would too. I hope every third party voting progressive remembers this. There's a real difference between R's and D's. Yeah, but, Hillary, you know how you can tell how much of a crooked witch Hillary really was? Because, Wink, she was able to testify for 11 hours under oath, and they couldn't find a thing.
Yeah. Yep.
A thing. And she never once cracked. No human can do that. So, obviously she was flawed, so, we have to split her.
Yeah.
All right. He said the Sessions would reverse 8 years of progress towards a more humane, less expensive, more just system by ramping up punishment for pot users. I think it's a little bit more than 8 years. Because this was happening back in ancient history when you and I were in college, Wink, even before.
Right.
I mean, normal's been around since, my college days, the end of them. And High Times, I think High Times came out in 68, 69 when we were still in junior high.
Hell yeah.
They didn't call it junior high for nothing back in the day, let me tell you.
Exactly.
Yeah, because, this is your apprenticeship.
Yep.
Then you move on to just like regular high school.
Hell yeah.
And then then they split you up. Some people become worker bees. Some people go off to college and then become worker bees, but y'all become worker bees in the end. It could be a brave new world, and all of this is just some way to sucker us all in so we do become, like mindless robots for the cause. And what's the cause? Production. In recent years, a series of U.S. states have loosened laws banning pot, with the drug now decriminalized for recreational use in 21 states. So I bet they're going to target those states.
No doubt.
Yep. All the things that the NRA told their gun users, oh no, we're going to have a national registry, don't have a national registry. And all of them said, yeah, but we like to shoot our guns having like marijuana or medicinal cannabis.
Yeah.
Yep. Here, yeah, I'll go ahead and get myself a pot card. Put myself on a registry. Eee. Like I always say, don't ever use drugs for medicinal reasons. That's how they get you hooked.
Right.
In May, Sessions sent a letter to congressional leaders to scrap an amendment to the DOJ budget that allows states to implement laws authorizing the use, distribution, possession, cultivation of medical cannabis without federal interference or funding programs that seek to prohibit it. Because when you're deconstructing the administrative state, who cares what people want? Wink. All right. Well, in opposition to the planned crackdown has drawn bipartisan support with Republican Rand Paul. Yeah, of course. You got to be high to think that you can just like bestow upon yourself like an ophthalmologist, license.
Right.
And call yourself a doctor. So I don't know. Like I said, that there's an example right there. Maybe we need to have some restrictions on who can use. And Al Franken's, well, like I think that Al Franken is benefited by it, actually. You know what we need to do is set up, I don't know, maybe a department that gets to be the arbiters of this. I'll volunteer my time.
Sure.
I don't know. I think I can tell. Okay, so they introduced in June, designed to safeguard state medical cannabis laws from a potential federal crackdown. The task force revolves around reducing violent crime. And Sessions and other DOJ officials over the last month have explicitly, in the last couple of weeks, talked about how immigration and cannabis use increases violent crime. Oh my God, they're building a Goldstein. The evil person is always there. The immigrants are going to come and kill us in their sleep, and they're also using this devil weed. That's why we don't use the M word, because it was used to demonize brown people. Exactly on what's happening. What right here? We're going to tie cannabis use with brown immigrants coming here to take our jobs, rape our women, steal our jobs, rape our women, get free stuff because that free stuff's for us.
Yeah,
it's our free stuff.
Right.
Oh God, Mondays are tough because the weekends just present so much. Wink.
Yeah. Yep.
And this isn't from that's not even from the weekend. That's from like late Thursday, this session story.
Right.
Okay, out of Reuters. And, I'm sorry, let me see who this is. Emily Flitter of New York and Valerie Folkovici in Washington. The head of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, Scott Pruitt, was in his home state of Oklahoma on at least 43 of 92 days of March, April, and May. Well, actually, you know what? If you're going to be in Oklahoma, that's the time to be there. Because, flowers are blooming, they got, the little bluebells, and, it's actually quite pretty.
Yeah, springtime, yep.
Right now is when you really don't want it. It's dusty and gritty. You can taste it.
Yeah.
It's right there. I mean, I don't know. What do you call terroir that is so easily lifted up by the lightest of breeze? I think you called that a dust bowl.
There you go. Yep.
And they better be careful because they're going to create another one. All right. So he did, in terms of the time you want to be in Oklahoma, and the reason that this is an issue is that he's in his home state cultivating political alliances and gathering money. And the only time to get people to come to Oklahoma to do that is when, the bluebells and all the other pretty flowers are blooming because it's tolerable to be there then. I know I would. If you're going to buy me off, you better make it comfortable. Or if I come to be bought off, I have to make it comfortable for them.
Yeah.
And then they show how the last EPA heads, either when they went to visit their homes, they did it on their personal time, rather than dinging the government and just staying there and charging the government for being there and flying back and forth. And the others have moved their family to D.C., but you're not going to move them to the Lion's Den. Because you never know. You never know what might happen. Okay. The practice of spending long weekends away from Washington is seen as highly unusual by former officials. Of course it is. But I don't know. Hillary was able to testify for 11 hours under oath. Manafort, Jerry Kushner, no. They're just no oath. Only a witch could have come out of that unscathed, Wink. Only a witch. And not just a witch, but a crooked witch. Jeez. Okay. Harley Davidson. I know a lot of people love Harley Davidsons. I've never been a fan. Mostly because they dropped oil, mostly. Yeah, that's what they were known for. Yeah, and that's not to say a Triumph didn't drop oil, but it looked good dropping oil, Wink.
Yeah, it did.
This is by Natasha Geeling. The Trump administration's Department of Justice has dropped a $3 million penalty imposed on motorcycle company Harley Davidson by the Obama administration, citing certain new developments in the department's policy. Okay, I get it. Some envelopes were passed and some other envelopes were passed and an agreement was made. certain new developments. The fine was part of a larger $15 million air pollution settlement reached between the company and the Obama administration last year. Anything the black guy did, we have to undo, Wink.
Oh, yeah.
We have a list. We have a punch list. Anything that the black guy wanted. Vegetable gardens on the White House grounds? No, we're going to put in a fracking setup.
Yeah.
Well, they're not going to do that because they wouldn't do that because he lives there. But if you were going to drain the swamp of prehistoric fossil fuels, I bet there's a lot there.
Yeah, no doubt. Yep.
Well, the complaint alleged that Harley-Davidson sold illegal motorcycle tuners that caused bikes to emit higher amounts of air pollutants than allowed by EPA emission standards. In other words, Harley-Davidson's purposely did a similar thing like what Volkswagen did, when they had their software program, when the car sensed that it was being tested, manipulated the catalytic converter so that it was pushing out clean air.
Yep.
And then when it was just in regular function, it spewed out stuff.
Right.
Right. But in Harley-Davidson's case, it was a big FU to the black guy. Stricter air pollution standards? Who do you think we are? Some little crotch rocket who cares about the environment? Give me a break. We don't care about anything but ourselves. Here, listen to me rev this up on a Sunday morning. Do you think I care about air pollution when I get to rev my engine on a Sunday morning? And that's not to say that, like a Husqvarna, Actually, the old joke was that, the bikes sound what their names are like. Husqvarna. Ducati. Harley. Davidson! Norton. I always like Norton. BSA. Remember BSAs?
Oh, yeah.
God, I love those bikes. So, yeah, that was a big FU to, we don't care about EPA standards because, I guess certain new developments have occurred in this new administration, Wink. Okay. Yeah, you know what? When we get time, you're going to have to show me how to put the clock on the big monitor because I have to find it here, and then it finally drops down that I can see it. Oh, my gosh. Well, let's go ahead and get to our Jim Hightower break. We do have a new one for the beginning of the week, of course. We'll come back, go through the Connect, Unite, Act Daily Codes community calendar. And then these stories we're lost half aren't terribly long, but they have a bit of comprehensive nature to them. Oh, yes. You are listening to the After Show on Netroots Radio with Week in Justice, and we will be right back.
Often, when world powers pick fights with seemingly powerless countries, they learn that even small dogs have sharp teeth, as President Trump is finding out in his ill-fated war with Mexico. His scheme to wall off Mexico is collapsing because most people here in the U.S. think it's stupid. Some 2/3 of the public say they just won't buy his $21 billion boondoggle. But Mexicans are the ones blunting Trump's other major attack on them, an attempt to slap a 20% border tax on products shipped into the U.S. Nobody knows more about trade than me, the Donald crowed during his presidential run. Narcissistic hyperbole aside, it turns out that Mexican farmers do know a lot more about corn than he does, and they know that a lot of U.S.-Mexico trade consists of corn. Until NAFTA, Mexico was a corn exporter. But such grain trading giants as Cargill wrote provisions into NAFTA to rig the rules to let them grab Mexico's corn market. This drove hundreds of thousands of Mexican producers out of business and made Mexico, where corn originated, dependent on imports from the U.S. But now, Mexicans are turning that imported corn into a political weapon against Trump's trade bluster. Rather than buy from the U.S., they're negotiating to import corn from Brazil. And even more significant, they're planning to invest in their own farmers to make Mexico self-sufficient again in this important crop. Their counteroffensive has caused apoplexy among congressional Republicans from the U.S. Corn Belt. About 75% of Iowa's corn, for example, goes to Mexico, and losing that market would devastate Iowa's economy. This is Jim Hightower saying, so the little dog bit Trump on the rump, and the big dog has now backed away from his border tax idea, having learned that even farmers know more about trade than he does.
If you'd like more of Jim Hightower's real populism, check out the Hightower Lowdown. Jim's monthly newsletter gives you the real lowdown on which corporations, by name, are doing what to the middle class, our environment, and our democracy. Each month, the Hightower Lowdown brings you facts you didn't know, along with actions you can take to fight back. It also comes with a sense of humor. Hightower believes we can fight the gods and still have fun. Plus, get this, it's cheap. Only $15 brings you 12 issues a year. For real populism, go to hightowerlowdown.org.
You are listening to netrootsradio.com.
Please hang up and try again.
From a point at sea to the circles of your mind, a new force is at work for planetary transformation. New radio for a new Earth.
We are back, and thank you for sticking with us. This is the After Show with Wink and Justice. Justice here along the banks of the Rogue River, in the Rogue River Valley of Southern Oregon on the West Coast. Wink is in upstate New York 21 on the East Coast. Our crew are the ethereal creatures who reside in the cloud, whose advanced intergalactic technical abilities allow Netroots Radio, and thus by extension the After Show, to span the globe, the solar system, and beyond. Okay, today's Connect Unite Act Daily Coast Community Diary is facilitated, as it is every Monday, by Chi-Town Kev. And he opens up his diary with, ever gone to summer camp? Now, did you go to summer camp when you were a kid, Wayne?
I have. Yeah, I did. Both Boy Scouts and church camp, actually, back in the day. Yep. We had a little church camp.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't consider Boy Scouts summer camp, but that's what I did. Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts.
Yep.
But you know what? I did go to a church camp a couple of times, with some neighbor friends. Because actually, the church camps that they went to, like when I went to like church stuff with the Catholic Church, it was pretty buttoned down, I mean, it was, you got up at 4:30 in the morning, you did your little penance, you did, your ritual Hail Marys, in Latin, by the way. Everything was in Latin back then.
There you go.
But these church camps they went to, man, they were drinking, having sex. It was like a big time party.
Yeah. That's kind of like
no wonder they were Protestants. I thought, no wonder these people are Protestants. It was like totally amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
So I thought,
pretty much the same way, yeah.
So in high school, I said, I'm going to that church camp. Jesus.
Exactly, yeah. We actually had a work camp before we had the summer camp. We had in the spring, like late spring, we'd go in there and pound some nails, fix windows, blah, 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 blah. It'd be just a weekend to get ready for the summer.
These church camps went up into, like, in the wintertime, it was ostensibly to go ski. Ski.
Yeah.
It was to drink Kahlua, and I don't know, what was it? Lancer's port wine was a big one back then. Oh, my God. The lasciviousness of it, I have to say, my Holden Caulfield, essential nature was kind of riled. I thought, well, this seems rather hypocritical. I mean, these are the same people who are saying burn the witches in hell for their lascivious sexual nature. And
Absolutely.
It's like, these guys are letting their hair down a little bit too much. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did go to a summer camp with a church group in the summer one. Yeah, where we went to outside of Joshua Tree. That's right, out in the desert.
There you go.
So that you can, if you're going to, usually you don't kill yourself driving off the road. You just drive into the desert.
Right.
But kids would hurt themselves pretty bad. I remember that. It wasn't like in Oregon where every winter high school kids get drunk and then drive up into the Cascades so they can drive off the mountain. Every winter they do that.
Yep.
These kids down there, they go out the desert and they go, well, if we drive off the road, it's just into the desert, scrub brush. Oh, they might be, paraplegics afterwards, but they get to live.
Right. Not a problem.
Okay, Netroots Nation. Wow, events coming up are already, since we're almost out of July.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Oh, did you? Just as a reminder, back in 1969, at this time, we landed on the moon.
Absolutely. Yep.
Stayed there for a little bit, brought the guys back. Pretty good stuff there.
Not bad at all.
Okay, Daily Coast Cheers and Cheers annual dinner, Wednesday, August 9th, 5:30 p.m. at White Oak Kitchen and Cocktails, 270 Peachtree Street in Atlanta, Georgia. Cosmail Navajo to RSVP, and they have quite a few. The Daily Coast Caucus, that's Thursday afternoon, August 10th, 2:30 p.m. in the Piedmont Room. I don't know who you. I guess you have to be at Netroots Nation to do that. So go. They have everybody there.
Hell yeah!
Everybody
all the cool kids are at that one. Yeah,
not just the cool kids, very cool, important kids. Let's just say. Okay, Daily Coast Asheville Summer Summit Meetup. Now there's a summer camp we can wrap our heads around. At Mount Mitchell State Park, August 12th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. And the state park is located at 2388 State Highway 128 in Burnsville, North Carolina. Send Randall a Cosmail to attend. The Data and Democracy 2018 conference will be occurring Saturday, September 23rd, 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. at the PSI Theater at the Durham Arts Council, 120 Morris Street in Durham, North Carolina. Cosmail Doc Dog, who is the organizer of this, they're going to be talking about get out the vote strategies among many other subjects. So get a hold of Doc Dog. And that is your Connect, Unite, Act Daily Coast Community Calendar for the 24th of July of 2017.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's see here. We've got... Oh, yeah, this anti-vax guy. I don't know. I always like reading about these people because they crack me up. You know? And then there's going to be people voting for him because they think that, wow, that guy knows more than me, which is frightening.
Exactly.
This is by Kyle Mantilla, Right Wing Watch. Earlier this month, radical religious right prepper pundit Michael Snyder announced that he is running for Congress in Idaho for a seat being vacated by Representative Raul Labrador, who is running for governor. Snyder, who is a frequent guest on Alex Jones' program and has been posting videos on his YouTube channel promoting his campaign, including one in which he asserts that he was tapped on the shoulder by God and called to run for this office, and another in which he vows that, if elected, he will use the full power of his office to go to war with Planned Parenthood. God told him this. With all the problems God has to deal with in the universe, mostly just keeping it together because it really wants to just fly away into the ether reaches of non-existence. You got black holes sucking everything up. Then you got massive supersized black holes sucking up even more. Don't you think God's a little bit more occupied to have to deal with, well, we're going to have a Planned Parenthood on this corner or not? Let's get a crisis pregnancy center. Let's ask God. God's saying, I got a big sucking problem here. Leave me alone.
Indeed.
Okay. Until the organization ceases to exist and abortion ends in all 50 states permanently. Well, what about Puerto Rico? I think they're going to be the 51st state. See, that's the problem. These people are not forward thinkers. In one video, Snyder declares his 100% support for the agenda of an organization called Health Freedom Idaho, which is a local anti-vaccination, anti-fluoride group, saying that he personally shares their views and has been fighting for these issues for years. I have a lot of progressive friends. They're liberal friends. They're just friends in general saying, didn't we already settle this whole fluoride thing back when they had this hysteria about it before? Like when, people who lived in areas that had fluoride as a natural component in their estuaries and in their ground table. seemed to, fight infections like tooth decay.
Yeah.
And those that didn't have it seemed to have a higher preponderance of tooth decay, which then also brings on the attendant issues of like heart disease and kidney problems and even inflammation in the brain. And they had higher incidences of those. And they said, well, if it works here, I mean, people go to like the Louvre, not to the Louvre. They go to, that place in France, where Joan of Arc went to, and, they took the waters. The healing waters, right? Well, why don't we bring the healing waters to them and we'll put it in toothpaste? No, we'll put it in the, we'll add it into our water supply. Oh, no, that's what commies do. So, we thought we had figured that one out. But, when you're deconstructing the administrative state and there's a strategy, you have to gaslight absolutely every effing thing. Everything. Anti-vaxxers. Yeah, this guy's probably a flat earther too. To this day, Wink, it astounds me. All this time, I thought it was like, I never thought that people actually believed it. I thought they were using it as hyperbole. It never occurred to me that people could actually, not in America, actually believe the earth is flat. I thought maybe in some, backwards country somewhere, where they don't have a preponderance of science being able to show them that, that this mystery of the universe is still mysterious, but these are the things that we can explain. And then in my travels, I know it's anecdotal. I haven't been everywhere. I haven't seen, Stone Age tribes in the Amazon or Indonesia.
Right.
Before they were discovered, right. And then, made into tourist destinations. But still, I got to tell you, I haven't found one that says the earth is flat. Most of them have some sort of, circular logic to it.
Yeah.
So to speak, right?
Well, when you look up and see the moon is round and the sun is round, you kind of
the sphere
a clue, I would think.
The sphere has a certain universal aspect to it. I mean, we're far enough north here. I can see the curvature of the transit of the sun as it goes across. It doesn't go across in a straight line. Kind of does a little curve, just sort of like how it would on a ball, the top part of a ball. So it always astounds me that, there's people that actually believe that stuff. And then they're mad at you because you don't believe it.
Right.
We're the ones that are hypnotized somehow by science.
Yeah.
Well, there is something to be said. I mean, part of what science, whole ethos of it is that it's there so it can prove it to yourself. So I suppose the argument to be made, like, just don't take it on, blind faith, so to speak. Somebody says that this is that these compounds in this weed killer, and the concentrations we use them are absolutely healthful. In fact, you can have a teaspoon of it. Here, have some. And I always say, you go first. But then later, it comes to find out they were wrong. Those concentrations are lethal. So there is that, right? So I understand that you can't just take a scientific result on face value, but we can't know everything. So we rely upon doctors to have studied extensively and had specializations in which they are able to determine what is causing a migraine headache, rather than us roaming the web and seeing something about brain tumors. So then we get all freaked out. Oh, I got a brain tumor. Because we're highly suggestible human beings.
Yeah.
Oh, for instance, like that.
Yep.
Right. Oh, God. Okay. What an idiot. All right. So the American. What? I didn't put a link on this. How dare I? Here, let me go over here and pull down the news. Darn me. Of course, we know what we've been following this story a bit already that ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council, has been pushing for a constitutional amendment to take direct voting away from the population in electing their senators. Now, originally, because we originally didn't have senators, okay? But when we did have senators, they were appointed usually by kind of a patronage system.
Right.
And
right.
The attendant corruption that arose out of that then evolved into the idea that, well, the people have a referendum and they can vote these two people in themselves. Or one, depending on your population, but generally two. And of course, what's the one thing that can gum up the works if you have a foreign power come here and try to dismantle absolutely everything, our clean air, our clean water? It's just like the aliens in Independence Day. They're going to come and they're going to suck up all our resources and move on and do it somewhere else. Why don't we see it?
Yeah.
Maybe that's too much, but still.
Not really.
So ALEC has this plan, we'll take direct voting. Oh, whoa. So what is it? It's the voting. It's people voting, Wink, that can stop.
That's what's screwing up democracy right there.
Right. Because even though Trump says he can pardon himself, no, he can't. He says health insurance costs $12 a year. Because he saw a Gerber plan on Fox News, a commercial about the Gerber plan. Term life insurance. Give me a... I got to tell you, if this guy wasn't born into wealth, there's no way this guy would be lucky to have motorcycle posters in a garage, because I don't think he'd even have a garage.
Right.
I don't know. And yes, Chris Kobach is leading the effort, because Chris Kobach is one of the leading luminaries in the actual drafting of these policies and these papers. And what is ALEC? ALEC, once again, they are a blueprint company. How to destroy America in a box. They have the how-to manuals, what you do to do that. And now they're on to, well, let's just make some of these offices where they used to be voted for, not voted for. Because obviously voting is the one thing that keeps us from really fulfilling the promise that we were promised.
Right.
I think they call it their heritage and birthright. Okay. Seems nutty and far-fetched, but it's a position with a growing weight inside the conservative movement. Yes, we have the Heritage Foundation. Even the Federalist Society is doing this. All right. I'll get the appropriate link up so that you can read this article. It breaks down. They name names. Okay. And I think that's important, too, because there should be a, how do they put it? A punishment at the polls.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we have reached the end of our broadcast period for today, but Netroots Radio goes on. We'll have Hartman coming up about 6 minutes after the hour. We'll listen to Quantic's Snakes in the Grass. I think that's an appropriate interlude musical between now and Hartman. And later on, we'll have Randy Rhodes once again. You might as well get on the horse.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's got some studies.
Yep.
All right. And also buy a stinking podcast. You got to do it. And she'll be coming up 1 p.m. Pacific time. That's 4 p.m. on the East Coast. So stay tuned to Netroots Radio 24/7, 365. And why? Because who loves you, baby? We'll be back here bright and bushy tomorrow with Chris Reeves and Wink. I will see you on the other side.
All right. We're out.